Hello, everybody. It's Slushy, and welcome back to another Five Nights at Freddy's theory. This is actually my third one, so I'm pretty excited to get into this because this is kind of a theory I've been running with for years. And I believe the second thing I'm going to talk about in this video, I believe was the original idea for Fnaf for Phone Guy, but I believe it definitely changed over time. Like I believe theories and stuff were because I personally believe that the story was very simple at the very beginning. It was just about a guy who killed some kids and they possessed the suits, and that was Five Nights at Freddy's. There was nothing else. There was no Bite of '83. There was no video games that are haunted by spirits. There's none of that. I don't believe any of that was ever the plan. I believe theories and stuff led to Scott manifesting that, making that happen because people were theorizing stuff like that. But I believe in its essence, I'll get to it later because I want to talk about the first thing first. But my second theory is what I believe originally happened. I don't believe it's still accurate, so I just want to get that out of the way. So, my biggest theory that I've kind of been thinking about for a while is Phone Guy is more involved than what he seems. I don't believe that he was just some innocent guy who's calling you on the phone to help you get tips and stuff on how to survive. I don't really have any concrete proof that he is. It's just when you have a character, right? He's been around since at least at the minimum 1985 because he was recording audio logs about the spring lock suits. They didn't use the spring lock suits after these incidents in 1985, so that means he was at least at Freddy Fazbear's, that first location, not Fredbear's. He might have been at Fredbear's. I have no idea, but I do believe he actually. I don't think he could have been at Fredbear's because I don't think he even remembered what the name of Fredbear's was. I think in one of the audio logs in FNAF 2, he said,
"How to contact the original restaurant owner." I think the name of the place was Fredbear's Family Diner or something like that.
Which indicates that he doesn't know exactly what the name is, but he was definitely at least around since '85, recording those audio logs for the spring lock suits, warning people about the dangers of them, and later warning them that they're not to be used, and then warning people to stay out of the safe room, and then warning people that the safe room is being locked up and sealed off, which is interesting because that means he would have been around at the time when not only the murders happened, Charlie's death. So the five kids, Charlie, safe rooms being locked up, which means Springtrap or Spring Bonnie, William Afton, Springtrap was sealed away. Oh my God, there's just so much stuff, man. And because you don't really know what year all those audio logs take place, because at the beginning they don't say January 1st, 1985. Now recording, beep, and then it goes into the audio. It doesn't give you a date, doesn't give you a time. You don't know what year they recorded, you don't know when. So it's like you basically just have to theorize based on what he's saying when it takes place, because the story will be kind of conflicted. Because if the sealing of the room happened in '85, it doesn't leave William Afton able to kill in '87. Going into the facility, trying to kill people, getting switched over to the day shift, killing the people, blah, 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 trying to make them possess new suits, whatever. It wouldn't leave him open because he'd still be sealed away. So it's very interesting to try to figure out how that happened. But, besides all that, the truth of it is the Phone Guy has been there since that time period, at least 1985, all the way up until 1982, which is when he dies in FNAF 1, or dies in FNAF 1. In my theory, which is going to get a little unhinged, and I'm sure I'm going to get some vitriol for it for sure, because this is bonkers, because I don't think anybody's really talked about it, but it's pretty clear that Phone Guy is not just a regular employee. Like, he has the capability to hire people, rehire, take on shifts whenever he chooses, which is only something a boss can do. It's something that only a person in a high position can do. Like me at my job, I can't just say, hey, you know what, I'm taking on that shift. I can't do that. I have zero power to do that. I would get shot down so fast. Versus if I was my boss, I could do that. I could say, hey, you're fired. Goodbye. You're hired. Welcome to the team. I'm taking that shift. That's a boss's position. That's a higher up position. Somebody that a regular person cannot make. So Phone Guy is more involved with the corporation than just a regular employee. So, and that's kind of crucial to what I'm getting at, because obviously William is a higher up position in the company because he's the guy he created the animatronics. He's done all this, and truthfully, I don't know how he's been like going in here as a new person, trying to get a job to do all this stuff, because wouldn't they recognize their CEO or their robotics instructor unless this guy's been hiding his face for 20 years, like the guy from Assassin's Creed with a hood over his head? I mean, that's the only way he can get away with it. If he's been walking around before they knew him as William Afton, he just had a hood over his head and they just couldn't see his face. Maybe it was just too purple. The other thing that just never sat well with me is the fact that he's so scared of the puppet. Why would an innocent person be so intimidated by the puppet? The fact that the puppet can look, it thinks, it can go anywhere. Why is he so worried about what the puppet can do? If he's not up to any no good, if he's doing the right thing, if he's not doing anything bad, why is he so worried about where the puppet can go or can't go? It's something that's ate at me for a while. Like, and I don't know if any threads have been pulled on that. I don't know if people have theorized that Phone Guy has to be involved. I do remember that Scott said that MatPat had some theories right. He did a great job. He said something like he did a great video in part 2 solving almost everything. And I do personally believe this, but I don't believe it's exactly as MatPat said. I don't believe he is Purple Guy. I believe he's working with Purple Guy in some shape or form. Or at least he knew about what Purple Guy was doing. He knew what William Afton was doing, and he kept it under the rug because he didn't want to get in trouble for it. So he just kind of hid it away. He helped hide the secret of what was happening. He helped bury what was going on with these kids, with these animatronics. This is why he knows all these little tidbits about, oh, maybe there's something in those suits, blah, blah, blah. Maybe there's this, maybe there's that. He's throwing out these little hints that show that he knows more than he's giving on. He never tells you everything, but he gives you little tiny tidbits of, oh, hell, this place is going to hell. There's weird crap happening with animatronics. It's just, I don't believe he was doing the murders. I just want to say that. I don't believe Phone Guy was out there killing people. I just believe he knew more than he lets on, obviously, and he knew what Purple Guy was doing. I don't believe he was setting it up for him. I just believe he helped get him a job, and he later found out what he was doing, and he just kept it a secret, which makes him he's a co-conspirator. He's helping hide these killings and stuff, and he's helping preserve the reputation of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. I almost called it Five Nights at Freddy's. That'd be a weird place. Hey, come on, kids, let's go to Five Nights at Freddy's. The fuck? I'm an idiot. And another thing, here's what I believe. I don't believe Phone Guy ever died. I just don't believe it. I don't believe, like, when you hear on night 4, the knocking, like, yeah, Foxy knocks on the door. When he bangs on the door and he runs up, it's like bang, 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 bang in quick succession. It's not like a slow bang on the door.
Oh, day 4, I knew you could do it. Hey, listen, I may not be around to send you a message tomorrow. It's been a bad night here for me. I'm kind of glad that I recorded my messages for you when I did. Hey, do me a favor. Maybe sometime you could check inside those suits in the back room. I'm going to try to hold out until someone checks. Maybe it won't be so bad. I always wondered what was in all those empty heads back there. You know. Oh no.
I don't believe that was just an animatronic. I believe there's an animatronic there. Like maybe William was there at the door, banging on the door, blah, blah, blah. Open the door, and maybe Freddy was right behind him, working, like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain why they would be working with William. Maybe it's that whole picture idea that I mentioned in my previous video, where maybe he was using a picture to make it seem like he was a good guy and all the other guards were bad. But I believe maybe he did something like that. He was banging on the door to get at Phone Guy, because maybe Phone Guy was about to leak the secrets about William had done. And I really don't know how to give proper explanation for everything, but the banging doesn't exactly sound like Foxy's banging. To me, the banging would be exactly like Foxy's. If they were going to bang on the door, it'd be like Foxy's. It'd be bang, 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 trying to get in urgently, and this one just doesn't seem the same. And he says, oh no. Like, that's your, like Phone Guy says, oh no, like that's your only reaction to the fact that you're about to be stuffed into a suit. It's not, oh, let me run the hell out of here. It was probably, oh my god, there's William with a knife, and there's Freddy right behind him. I'm screwed. Might as well just take it. it just seems like he gave up instantly. Like with an animatronic, I wouldn't just sit there and be like, oh shit, oh, stuffed. No, I'm gonna try to at least run, and I'm gonna put up a fight. But whenever there's this it's super intimidating man with the butcher knife standing in front of you, also known as William Afton, who you've been kind of working cahoots with for a while. There's also Freddy Fazbear, like a 6'5" something animatronic robot that probably weighs almost 300 something pounds, maybe more, standing there right behind him. So you know you're not going to be able to get anywhere. And chances are maybe Chica was on the right side, just kind of standing there, closing in on him. I don't like I said I don't have evidence. I don't have any true evidence for this except for weird occurrences. Like I don't have a factual evidence that William was the one banging on the door, but it just doesn't make any sense to be just an animatronic. But yeah, that's my theory. That's my theory. Phone Guy is more involved than the game lets on, and I don't like. I believe he was killed, but not exactly stuffed by an animatronic. I believe he was maybe murdered by William Afton, stuffed into the one of the suits. Uh, and here's where my next theory comes in. Here's where my next theory comes in. The one that I was trying to keep secret until the very end. The original plan for Phone Guy, I believe, was for him to be Golden Freddy. Until the series got complicated of Cassidy's and Dave's and all these other plushies being haunted, all this other stuff, the box, Bite of 83. Before all that stuff happened, I believe at its simplest, it was, like I said, it was just a story about a murderer killing kids and then maybe killing Phone Guy to cover up what he had done. And so what did he do to cover up the fact that Phone Guy was about to leak his secrets? He killed him. They stuffed him into the Golden Freddy suit, which is why instead of the Golden Freddy suit seeming more like a deactivated robot, he seems more like a dead body, like a corpse, just kind of sitting there slumped over. And he doesn't take on the shape of just a deactivated animatronic. Like, yeah, they sit there stiff, but they don't sit there all slumped up with their arms all loosely hanging around like just a dead corpse. They sit there stiff. Like, if you look into the back room, the robot is deactivated. Like, the endoskeleton is sitting there totally stiff, but in the form that you could tell it's a robot. Golden Freddy doesn't look like it's in the form of a robot. It looks like an empty suit stuffed with a dead body that causes it to sit there all loose like a dead fish. And like the only person we're ever in contact with in that game is Phone Guy, and obviously it's to believe that Phone Guy is probably the one that hired Mike Schmidt. So the fact that it says it's me in a game where we don't really understand every little bit of the story, and I don't believe Scott even understood every little bit of the story at the time. He was just manufacturing a little base idea for the potential of a sequel in the future, like leaving loose threads for the potential of a sequel. But I believe that the "it's me" thing was Phone Guy trying to say, "Hey, it's me. I'm still here." And that's why when you see the Golden Freddy thing, he appears in the office, and "it's me." It says it again. The only human character in the series we're familiar with at the time. He's the only one we're in contact with. So it literally couldn't be anyone else because Michael Afton wouldn't understand "it's me" coming from anyone else. He doesn't know any of the children, supposedly. I mean, I don't think Michael Afton was sitting there like back in the 80s saying, "Oh my God, Gabriel, Susie, we're all great friends," unless those were the kids that we saw leading Dave up to be bit. That's a bonkers theory. I guess it could be true. I don't know how, but I guess it could be true. Because I guess they would have been old enough by 1985, just a couple years later. Which, now that I think about it, holy hell, that would actually give William reason to kill those kids. Like I've literally just got done saying that's a bonkers theory, but not really, because he would have motivation to kill those kids because they helped kill his son. My mind is just blown right now. I don't know. Like every time I develop these things, I'm usually just sitting here thinking about something else. But now that actually makes total sense. Like when I just said that a minute ago, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But when you think about it, yeah, it makes perfect sense that those kids might have had something to do with Dave's death, and that's why he wanted him dead, and that's why 2 years later he kills him. Bonkers. Has that ever been revealed? Probably in the 11 years of this game being made. Anyways, that's really all I had to say. Just a whole theory about Phone Guy that's kind of derailed with that whole William Afton killing those kids because they're the ones that killed his own son. but it makes sense. It makes sense. So everything in this series makes sense if you put enough evidence towards it, because there's so much loose threads all over the franchise that you can pretty much just pick one little thread, spin a whole theory out of it, and then boom, you got like 15 games out of it. But anyway, I'm gonna end this video before I go totally unhinged and crazy. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope like you did. Let me know if you guys agree with my theory. Do you guys agree with the theory about William Afton killing those kids because they're the ones that killed his kid? See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.